Trying to tee off with that left hand. Now he's back.
He's hurt this time. He's very wobbly. I'm watching his legs. He's trying to get his legs back.
Pacquiao! WBC welterweight champion of the world, introducing Mario El Azteca Barrios. He's legendary and only 8-division champion of the world, introducing the one and only Manny Pacman Pacquiao.
The bell rang for round 10, and everything changed. The fatigue from 9 rounds of high-octane warfare began to show, not in their heart, but in the way their arms moved, the way their feet shuffled. Yet the determination was unmistakable. Pacquiao, despite his age, surged out of his corner like a man chasing immortality. Barrios, blood smeared down his cheek, nodded at his coach once before lifting his gloves and walking straight into fire. Pacquiao's tempo was surprising. Where most fighters slowed down at this point, especially at 46 years old, he seemed to have discovered a second wind. Maybe it was adrenaline, maybe it was pride, or maybe just the rhythm of a lifetime spent in the ring. He bounced side to side, feinted, then launched a left uppercut that caught Barrios just beneath the chin. It wasn't a knockout shot, but it was sharp and jolted Barrios' head backward. He responded with a stiff right that connected to Manny's temple, forcing the legend into a defensive angle. The crowd could feel something building. Each punch landed now felt like a crack in the dam. Pacquiao circled out, pivoted, then doubled up with his signature straight left. Barrios blocked one, but ate the second. Then, with less than a minute left in the round, Barrios pushed Pacquiao into the ropes and unleashed a relentless combination. Body, head, head, body. The blows thudded into Pacquiao's guard and ribs. But the veteran stayed calm, weaving, then slipping to his left and countering with a short uppercut. Blood sprayed from Barrios' nose as the bell ended the round. Commentators shouted over one another, trying to dissect what they had just seen. Pacquiao is not supposed to be doing this at his age, one screamed. But Barrios is still standing, still fighting back, another added. The camera panned the audience. Fans standing on their chairs, others screaming, some stunned into silence. Celebrities in the front row looked on with disbelief. This wasn't just a good fight. It was shaping up to be one of the all-time greats. Round 11 opened with both men showing bruises and wear. Barrios' right eye was nearly shut, his breathing labored. Pacquiao had a cut just under his left brow, trickling crimson down the side of his face. And yet, there was no slowing down. Barrios came forward, as if he had one round to end it. He targeted the body again, knowing that was his best chance to slow the older fighter. A vicious left to Manny's liver caused the Filipino to wince, but he didn't back up. Instead, he answered with an even harder hook to Barrios' jaw. It was a round of violent chess. Every jab was bait. Every step was a trap. Pacquiao began to feint low and come high, catching Barrios repeatedly with straight lefts. But Barrios was tough. He threw combinations of his own, uppercuts and right hands that had real danger behind them. Then, halfway through the round, Pacquiao unleashed a dazzling 7-punch combination. The first 3 were blocked, but the 4th, 5th, and 6th landed flush. The 7th, a corkscrew left, snapped Barrios' head sideways. The crowd screamed. It was a moment frozen in time. Barrios wobbled. His legs briefly betrayed him. For a split second, it looked like he might fall. But somehow, miraculously, he clinched. The referee broke them. Pacquiao, sensing blood, pressed forward. Left hook, right straight, left uppercut. But Barrios survived the storm and fired back with a looping hook of his own. The bell rang again, and somehow both men stayed on their feet. In the corner, Barrios' trainer was frantic. "You have to knock him out now," he said, pressing an ice pack to his fighter's swollen face. "He's stealing this fight." Meanwhile, Pacquiao's corner was calm, focused. "Use the footwork," his trainer whispered. "You've got him. One more big round." And then came round 12, the round that would be played again and again on highlight reels for years. The entire arena stood. No one was seated. Everyone understood this could be the end of something legendary. The fighters met in the center. They didn't touch gloves. They just fought. The first 30 seconds were cautious. Barrios jab, Pacquiao circled. Then Barrios opened up, a massive right hook aimed at Manny's head. It barely missed. Pacquiao pivoted and countered with a triple left-right-left combo that staggered Barrios again. Barrios stumbled back. Pacquiao jumped forward. This time, he wasn't letting go. He feinted low, then snapped a left hook to the temple. Barrios dropped his guard, and Pacquiao followed with monstrous overhand left. It landed flush. The crowd erupted as Barrios dropped to one knee. The referee began to count. 1, 2, 3. Barrios looked at his corner, dazed. 4, 5. He shook his head. His mouth guard hung loose. Blood dripped from his nose. 6, 7. He forced himself up barely by the count of 8. The ref looked him in the eye. You okay? Barrios nodded, swaying. The ref let it continue. Pacquiao charged. It was vintage Manny, explosive, chaotic, clinical. A 4-punch combo hit Barrios clean. The Mexican stumbled back into the ropes, swinging wildly. But Pacquiao slipped and countered again. A left hook, then another overhand left. Barrios dropped his hands, and that's when Pacquiao launched a final devastating uppercut that snapped Barrios' head back violently. He crumpled. Down. Hard. Flat. The referee didn't even count. He waved it off immediately. Knockout. Round 12. 148. The crowd lost its mind. Fans screamed. Some cried. The arena shook as Pacquiao stood over Barrios, breathing heavily, his gloves raised to the heavens. He had done it. Again. Barrios lay on the canvas, conscious but broken. The medics rushed in. Moments later, he sat up. He was okay, but defeated. Pacquiao walked over, helped lift him to his feet, and embraced him in the center of the ring. It was respect. It was tradition. It was beautiful. The official announcement came seconds later. The winner by knockout in round 12, Manny Pacman Pacquiao. The roar could have lifted the roof. Pacquiao raised his gloves, then pointed toward the crowd, toward the Philippines, toward everyone who said he was too old, too slow, too late. He had silenced them all. The night of July 15th, 2025, was electric. Las Vegas had seen countless fight nights, but this one carried a different energy, an almost mythical anticipation. As if history itself was about to be written again, the atmosphere inside the T-Mobile Arena was on fire, drenched in noise and lit by the swirling lights of smartphones, stadium beams, and a kind of raw energy that only a true boxing spectacle can summon. Outside, fans had lined up since early morning, some wrapped in Philippine flags, others in custom-made Barrios merchandise. The buzz wasn't just about two fighters. It was about legacy, redemption, pride, and possibly the final chapter in one of boxing's most enduring legends. Manny Pacquiao, now 46 years old, stepped into the ring not as has been, but as a living myth. The crowd exploded when he emerged from the tunnel, his face set, his gloves taped, his legendary footwork still as fast as the flashbulbs bouncing off his shoulders. He looks 20 years younger, commentators whispered in awe. His camp had promised that this was the best Pacquiao since his 2009 peak, and judging by the spring in his steps, the boxing world was inclined to believe it. He wore red and gold trunks, symbolic of fire and victory, and the letters MP gleamed across his waistband like a seal of battle. Across the ring, Mario El Azteca, Barrios paced like a caged beast. 12 years younger, taller, leaner, and riding a brutal knockout streak. Barrios represented the new blood, the modern fighter born from data-driven training, analytics, and ferocious hunger. But this wasn't just another fight to him. This was war. This was the moment to destroy a legend and cement his own name. His walkout had been powerful, a dramatic remix of traditional Mexican war drums and trap beats, a tribute to his roots and a signal to his doubters that this wasn't going to be an easy night for Filipino icon. As the referee called both fighters to the center, the cameras zoomed in. Pacquiao's eyes never blinked, never flinched. Barrios nodded confidently, barely hiding a smirk. The noise dipped for a heartbeat. Gloves touched, and then the bell rang. Round 1 opened with speed. Pacquiao moved like it was 2008 again. using angles, darting in and out with lightning-fast combos. Barrios, surprised at first, held his ground. The younger fighter expected a slower, more cautious Manny, but what he got was a throwback to the aggressive southpaw who had dismantled legends. The Filipino firestorm unleashed a flurry in the first 30 seconds that lit up Barrios' guard and drew roars from the crowd. Left jab, right hook, pivot, double jab. The angles were unpredictable, the rhythm erratic, and the volume terrifying. But Barrios was no rookie. He tightened up, fired back with sharp counters, and began cutting off the ring. By round 2, the tone had shifted. Barrios settled in, stalking Pacquiao and testing the older fighter's endurance with sharp body shots. His right hand thudded against Manny's ribs, a dull echo that rang through the arena. Pacquiao grunted but didn't falter. Instead, he answered with a vicious uppercut that snapped Barrios' head back, followed by a perfectly timed left straight that landed clean on the chin. The crowd erupted, but Barrios grinned. It was war now. No feeling out, no waiting game. Round 3 was chaos. Both corners had told their fighters to step it up, and they did. Combinations flew like machine gun fire. Barrios switched to a high-pressure approach, cornering Pacquiao against the ropes, launching a barrage of hooks that tested the legend's defense. But Pacquiao, elusive as ever, ducked, slipped, and answered with laser-precise counters that punished Barrios' midsection. The crowd couldn't sit. Every punch drew gasps. Commentators could barely keep up. "This is a firefight," one screamed, voice cracking. Round 4 saw Pacquiao bleeding slightly from the nose, but smiling. The old warrior loved the fire. He thrived in the deep waters. Barrios, breathing harder, was starting to realize that speed alone wouldn't beat this man. The Mexican aimed to slow the pace, landing stiff jabs, then leaning into Manny to clinch. But Pacquiao, using every ounce of ring experience, broke free with short hooks and pivoted out with grace. By the end of the round, the fans could feel it. This wasn't just another legend cashing in a farewell fight. This was a resurrection. Round 5 turned tactical. Both corners adjusted. Pacquiao's trainer, now an old friend rather than a drill sergeant, had reminded him to trust the footwork, to bait and trap, not to brawl. Barrios' camp urged him to work the jab, to jab and smother. And so the pace dipped, but the intensity did not. Every movement felt calculated. Pacquiao glided across the canvas, hands down at times, daring Barrios to come in. When he did, Manny punished him with pinpoint counters that scored again and again. But Barrios was relentless, young, durable, and willing to walk through fire. By round's end, the stats were nearly even. Round 6 began, and the arena crowd chanted, "Man, New York! Man, New York!" louder than ever. The nostalgia was overwhelming, but the action justified it. Pacquiao opened the round with a blistering 5-punch combo, snapping Barrios' head twice before sliding away. But Barrios, angry now, responded with a counter left that caught Manny flush. The older man staggered, his legs buckled slightly, and for a moment, the crowd gasped. But just like that, he recovered, circling, buying time, jabbing with composure. Barrios, sensing blood, rushed forward, but Manny, the master of deception, baited him into a trap and dropped a short right hook that stunned the younger fighter and reset the tempo. Round 7 started, and something shifted. Pacquiao, despite his age, began pushing the pace again. His confidence was building. The earlier hesitation was gone. His gloves danced, his shoulders loose, his punches crisp. Barrios stayed composed, returning fire with accurate shots, but the tempo was becoming Pacquiao's. The Filipino used the ring like a chessboard, moving in shapes only he understood. Step left, step right, jab, jab, hook, a blur of red and gold. Barrios backed up, then returned fire, only to be hit again by a brutal body shot that made him grunt audibly. Midway through the round, a moment happened that will be replayed for decades. Pacquiao feinted, then leapt forward with a left cross, timed perfectly as Barrios stepped in. The punch landed flush on the jaw. Barrios staggered, his knees dipped, and the crowd exploded. He didn't go down, but it was the cleanest shot of the night. Barrios clinched, shook his head, and smiled, but the damage was done. It was a message, The legend was alive, and he still had power. By round 8, Barrios was adjusting again. He slowed the pace, looked to drag Pacquiao into the later rounds. Pacquiao, meanwhile, was breathing heavier, but still sharp. He began picking his moments, no longer flurrying with reckless abandon. The ring generalship was masterclass. Barrios tried everything: high guard, shoulder rolls, even a few switch stances. But Pacquiao's rhythm was unique. Just when you thought he was done, he'd explode with another 5-punch combo. Round 9 was attrition. Both men showed signs of damage. Barrios' right eye was swelling. Pacquiao's nose bled steadily. The pace slowed, but the danger increased. Every punch thrown now carried serious intent. Barrios dug into the body again. Pacquiao returned fire with looping overhands. The crowd was in a frenzy. Commentators yelled, "We're witnessing a classic."